Now, my next guest has the inside knowledge on the best restaurants to be found in Sydney's suburbs. Now, I don't mean the inner city. I mean places to eat way out west, where the rain don't fall. Got a job with a company drilling for oil. That's an old song. Sydney's southwest. Tong No, one of Sydney's leading food bloggers and the founder of All the W's, Noodlies.com. And he joins me in the studio for our food, wine and dining segment. G'day, mate.
Good day, Tim. What a great day to be talking about food. When the weather's like this,
Yeah.
I'm always hungry.
Yeah.
And we're, 5 o'clock. I think everyone's turning their minds to food now, aren't
thought
they?
to food now. Tell me firstly about Noodlies. How did the idea for that come about?
Well, it's strange. I'm glad you talked about, food in the West, because we all work in the city. A lot of people do.
Sure.
But when you think about it, we live in the West.
Yeah.
That's where, and I'm sure that's where a lot of your listeners are.
My word.
Yeah, so you would think, okay, well, if I'm, if I actually don't want to make the trip in on the weekend to eat, great food, why can't I have that food out in suburbs?
Yeah.
And in fact, I think in the suburbs is where you have some of the most authentic, diverse food that you can get.
Yeah.
'Cause if you think about, if you sit back and you think about places like Bankstown, you think of Vietnamese food.
Of course you do,
think
yeah.
of Lebanese food.
Yeah.
And
Leichhardt,
they're
you think Italian, but that's
Exactly.
not out west. That's in the city. That's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yes. But even, for your Bankstown forward and even Strathfield,
Yeah.
you have a lot of Korean food. And I think the reason they're more authentic there is they're not in the city. They don't have to cater for everybody. So they
Right.
can be really true to themselves. So
Yeah.
if you go there and you eat there, you get the real experience of that culture.
Yeah.
And the other thing I always find, and people say this to me all the time,
Yeah.
why is it so cheap? Well, they're not paying CBD prices.
That's it. That's
for,
it.
CBD rent, CBD everything else.
Yeah.
So all that saving goes straight to you, the diner. So you're getting authentic experience, you're getting great food, and you're likely to get food that you can't even get in the city.
Yeah. And Vietnamese, well, I guess we tend to associate that with Cabramatta. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you go to Cabramatta, I think you can't go wrong. You can almost walk into any restaurants in
Yeah.
Cabramatta
Yeah.
and you'll be getting the best food. Now, why do I say that? It's so competitive.
Mm.
Now, I've been there. I've lived there for 2 decades. And if a restaurant's no good, they close down. They can't
Very
compete
quickly.
with the competition.
Yeah, that's exactly
Tim.
right.
So I think a lot of people are a bit fearful of Cabramatta. They think, if I go there, will I know what to order? Will I know which restaurants to go to?
Yeah.
And this is a long, roundabout way of
Yeah.
answering your question.
Yeah.
But that's what Noodlies.com's for, to make people sort of see the food. They know what they're ordering. They know the restaurants to go to.
Yeah.
To break down that barrier so people can just walk into Cabramatta.
Yeah,
Like if you
sure.
live in the West, you're not very far from Cabramatta or the other suburbs, really.
Yeah, okay. And by all means, give us a call, folks, if you want to ask any questions of Tong No, 13 13 32. You don't mind taking a few calls from the listeners if they
No,
call in?
absolutely.
If we go on to noodlies.com, what can you tell us? What information can we find out?
Well, firstly, you find restaurants that you don't normally see anywhere else. So that's
Okay.
that's a first
Yeah,
start.
that's number one.
Number two, what I've tried to do is put a lot of video on there. So people can actually see what the food looks like, what the restaurant looks like.
Yeah.
And I think we might talk about it a little bit later because some of the restaurants are really hard to find. So, one particular restaurant is actually literally down a tiny little alleyway.
Right.
And there's no signage, there's nothing around it. So,
Is
the
that the
video's
one?
useful.
That the one you think is the hardest to find in Sydney? Yeah. What's
Absolutely.
it called?
Well, it's called UE, and I didn't
UE?
pick that just.
As in U full stop, E full stop?
It is
What's
U
that?
full
What's
stop.
that stand for?
Thousands of people have asked me,
Don't know.
and I've asked the waiters there, and they said, "Look, we've been around for 2 decades. It's always been called UE."
Could be called U2. UE, really?
UE, and literally, the way I can describe it, or
Yeah.
the best describe it, it's like a Tomb Raider experience. You go down a really dark alley,
Right.
and there are had to dodge people coming out of toilets
Yeah.
because that's what it is, and it's quite a long dark corridor. You get to the other end, and it's an entrance to a private car park, and there's a
Oh, for
tiny
goodness
little.
sake. This tiny little front door, that's where the restaurant is.
And it's only called UE.
And that's it. How do they go, by the way?
2 decades.
There you
Can't be
go.
wrong. I mean,
People obviously who love it know where to find it and keep going back. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing with Noodlies. I like to share that with other people who don't know that it exists. And when I tell the owners I'm doing this, they're really happy. They go, "Oh, thank you," because we know we're really hard to find.
Yeah, okay. Now, so how do you go about tracking down Vietnamese, Chinese, Laotian, Thai, Cambodian, Iraqi, Lebanese, all of that? How do you do it?
Well, I've only got one rule. I mean, I live, as I said, in Cabramatta.
Yeah.
And when you're in Cabramatta, you're close to just about every suburb, really.
Yeah.
And we would find something interesting and we go in there.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we were in Fairfield on something else, and we saw this restaurant, and outside all it had was Assyrian food.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what Assyrian food is.
Neither do I.
No, I don't know. It's meat, it's vegetables, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We look inside, and the menu is not in English. And in fact, there's nobody in there.
Oh, it's true.
And
Yeah.
so my friend and I looked at each other and said, okay, do we go in, do we not? And we thought, too good an opportunity.
Ah, the hell with it. We'll try it. Yeah.
We went in, and when we came in, we felt really welcome because they said, oh, my God, we didn't expect, people who aren't Assyrian to come into the restaurant.
Yeah.
The owner came, sat next to us. We had a good long chat. And in fact, we asked him about what's on the menu, and they explained it all to us.
And what sort of food was it?
It is... It's the dish that we walked out. My favourite dish is called. And I've learned something new.
Yeah.
Kuzi.
Kuzi. Yeah.
And it's lamb shank, and it's
yum.
rice, boiled rice, but with sultana and almond.
Oh.
And it's delicious. It's Mediterranean food, but unless you go there, you would never know.
Do you think most of us, and I'll include myself in this, are adventurous when it comes to finding restaurants and new places to eat?
I think everyone, me included, can be more adventurous because
we're getting
everyone
there.
has their threshold, don't they?
Yeah, that's right.
And what I'm finding, and that's why I think Noodlies is useful, is if you go past that threshold, you're into a different space, something better, something more exciting.
Yeah.
And I think we can all do that. I've never regretted going to. I may not have liked all the food that I've had.
No.
But I never regret.
At least you tried it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, just show me your paper rolls that you've brought in with you. But folks, and you see, I look at this and I think. Most of us, unless we're Vietnamese, wouldn't know how to do this. But I'll tell you what we've done for you this week, folks. And I've done it. I've found it, so you must. If I can do it, anyone can do it. It's actually on the website. So if you go to 2ue.com.au and click on the recipes page, and there's a lovely lady that actually shows you, step by step, how to make these. Now, they don't look very difficult to make, are they? No.
They're not necessarily. No. I think the hardest thing to this is finding the ingredients because while I might say rice paper, people go, oh, where do I get that from?
Yes.
Or I might say vermicelli, you would say, where do I, how do I get that?
Right.
But it's really not hard, and I think there's a link from that page that you just mentioned to UE across to my page. Right. We actually took photos. So, for example, Tim, if you have a look at this, this is the vermicelli noodle I was talking about.
Really, really thin noodles,
Yes, and that goes inside the rice paper roll.
Yeah.
And some people may not even know what a rice paper roll looks like. And this is what it's like when it's dry.
Yeah.
It's actually...
It's sort of the look of unleavened bread. Oh, goodness me, it's so thin.
Yes.
You can see through it.
Yes, exactly. And that's why, and when you see it, the context makes sense. That's why people call it paper, because it literally is like paper.
It is.
And the lady in the video actually shows you how to make it wet, or at least soft enough so you can roll the paper.
Now, folks, if you don't have the internet and you're not watching, the rice paper rolls, they're quite large. And you might get these if you go to corporate events or functions and things. You might get little ones, but these ones are quite large. Is that the traditional way to make them?
Yes, it is. And that's, Tim, as you can see, that's how they end up looking.
And they've got prawns in them?
Yes.
And vermicelli. What else?
Yes, and mint.
Yeah.
And I bought this in for you.
Beautiful looking things.
I bought this.
Fresh mint?
Yes, fresh mint on the street of Cabramatta. These old ladies grow this at home, and they just sit on the main street of Cabramatta selling
mint. And all sorts of other things, I bet, too. Yeah.
50 cents. I bought this for.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like you to kind of take a bit of a sort of smell at this. I'll break it so you can smell it.
Yeah,
Break it for yourself.
Beautiful. Yeah. See, I tell you, these mint leaves are huge. Yeah.
And they're one side is
that's just fantastic.
is green, and if you look at it, the other side's purple.
Yeah, that's right. Sort of like a purpley mauvey colour.
Yeah,
and you just bought that on the streets of Cabramatta.
50 cents today.
Oh, what got you...
No, sorry, Tim. I just want to show you one more mint.
Yeah.
This one is the special. We call it Vietnamese spearmint, and I like you to take just a little bit of a smell of it. It's beautiful. It's
and
it's sweet.
This is
and that goes in the roll as well.
That's in the rolls as well.
Yes.